All right, here we go. Sci-Fi Express Lane. Jeff Carroll here. Today's topic is kind of, I don't know what's gotten into me. I'm on this humor thing still since I did Spoof Streets, but I want to talk about humor in horror. Humor in horror movies. That's what I want to talk about. And be free to ask, like, what the heck is that? But in reality, it's a beautiful thing. So anyway, my name is Jeff Carroll. I'm a science fiction writer, comic book creator, filmmaker, award-winning filmmaker. And I have the topic of humor in horror movies, which kind of really started as I can't believe people don't understand this topic. I didn't even think it was a thing. I was talking in the comic book store, and people was asking people what kind of horror movies they like, and I said the movies that I like, and I'm not a gore porn guy, so I really like the ones that have more humor than have anything else. I like, believe it or not, I like Freddy vs. Jason, and you could say that is not a scary movie, or it's not a totally Freddy movie or totally Jason movie, but I think they set it up really cool. I think they embodied both of their energies and made it a cohabitated universe. So to me, it works. But some of the movies that I get scared the most from made me not even that scary. Like, I didn't realize how scary Jaws was until I went snorkeling. When I jumped into that ocean, that's when everything clicked. I don't go into swimming pools, but you can usually see through the swimming pool at the bottom. I don't usually go to swimming pools at night. So when I go, you can always see in the pool. So it's never a big thing. I don't jump in lakes. I'm not that big type of person. So the ocean, as clear as it was, became a nightmare for me. People were citing movies like The Exorcist, and my wife loves Damien Omen. And to me, like, I've been grappling with Christianity since I was in middle school. Since I got into high school, I started questioning a lot of stuff. Started listening to Malcolm X and what he was saying with the nation and Islam, and I didn't gravitate towards Islam, but I did start to question Christianity. And because I started questioning Christianity, the biggest question I had was, okay, why is the devil seemingly controlling the world? Why do we even have to pray to get God to look out for us if this is his world? And I started just asking that question. And by the time I got to college, I was full on like, yo, neither one of it is real. Is what we got to do ourselves to make the best of things. For me to think some good God is in control is not realistic. What the heck is hell? You know what I'm saying? Punishment? No, none of that. And I would always question that. And so for me, questioning Christianity put Christian ornaments and symbols and the whole Catholic lore in question. So when it came to something like The Exorcist, which I saw as a young person, probably middle school, which was the 70s, I laughed. It became hilarious to me, and because of that, I don't think it's one of the most scariest movies. It didn't scare me. What scared me more was Friday the 13th. not the movie, but the last part of the post-credit scene where Jason jumps out the water. That scared me more than anything else. I thought Texas Chainsaw Massacre was another one. I saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre on 42nd Street, where people talk in the theaters and they give all types of wild reactions. And that, to me, was another one that was funny, hilarious. Was I scared of dude? Yeah, I remember when I was driving one time in Texas, and you would see, no, I was in West Virginia, you would see these houses, that look really wild, and there's no other houses around you, you know what I'm saying? So you're like, oh snap, what if my car breaks down? It could be the wrong turn type joint. And Texas Chainsaw, but that I don't really attribute to the movie, because the movie didn't really scare me. The movie used a scary setting, and that, I get it, settings are a part of the story, but that wasn't what I was scared. I wasn't scared of Leatherface jumping out. I was scared of, rural white people that probably are cannibals. You know what I'm saying? I was scared of that. It's like going to an antique show, and a real antique show, like in Southern Ohio, Kentucky type antique show, where they really got some old antiques that go back. That type of stuff scares me. But it wasn't the movie. I felt Leatherface was special needs. I was like, this is a special needs killer. It was a scene where he ran out of the house chasing the girl, and the girl runs around bushes, right? But the bushes you can see through, and you can run through the bushes. She runs by the bushes, and Leatherface, right? She ran by the bushes. Leatherface is running towards her. He passes her in the bushes. He could see her when he was running by, but instead his OCD caused him to fully run in the same route that she ran, and she got back to the house before him. And to me, that was hilarious. And that was significant. But again, just like with Friday the 13th, what scared me the most was the post-credit scene where they went into the house and the guy got knocked out. I was like, oh snap, it's real, And so, do you walk around saying Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of the scariest movies? I don't know, because it didn't scare me in the movie. The energy of it scared me. Now, movies that scare me in the movies, I will say, probably the jump scares get me, which is like Annabelle, The Nun, The Conjuring. Those spook me out. Now, you might say, Jeff, Christianity ain't your thing, but Conjuring and all of that ain't necessarily Christianity. Conjuring is bad demons, and I accept bad demons. I think ghosts are just like people. I think you're a bad person, you get jaded in life, you can get jaded as a ghost and become a bad ghost, aka a demon. So I do believe that. I do accept that. I do believe in the paranormal. I do believe in ghosts. But so like for me, the Exorcist that worked the best was the Exorcist with the two girls that got lost in the woods, and then they came back. I forgot the name of that Exorcist, right? But they came back, and when they tried to exorcise the girls, it was more than just a Catholic priest. They used root doctors. They used American Baptist minister. They used Native American chick. They pulled out everybody. And to me, that's more realistic. For a ghost to be scared of a Bible verse that King James made up. Come on, man. Are you kidding me? I'm too much of a historian to not see the Bible as an anthology that man put together, particularly Constantine and King James having played around with himself. So, do I believe Christianity is capable of being a wholesome religion? Sure. It was written its purpose is to guide people to be good people. But America can tell you, Christopher Columbus and them can tell you that it don't fully work. Shoot, if the Quran worked, we wouldn't have Arab slavery right now. Those would be some of the most moral people and moral, helpful countries on the planet if, the Quran and the Bible was 100% effective. But I do give them, E for effort. They both are trying. They're not leading people down the wrong path. They just, the paths aren't as successful as, just a wholesome culture, right? So anyway, let me not go down the religious path. But I also like Poltergeist. I feel, that was full of humor in it. Now, do I need to be a totally comedy like Eight-Legged Freaks? No. Even though I like Eight-Legged Freaks, I don't need that level of humor on all of them. I like the humor that is, say, like Weapons, right? The ending, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but the ending was really good. And it was the humor was there. Take, for instance, The Leprechaun. I think there's humor in that, but I think it's corny. Same thing with Chucky. I think there's humor in that, especially the guys trying to be funny, the killings and stuff, but to me, it's corny. So I respect the humor in it, but I think it's corny. So yeah, one of my favorite zombie pictures is Dawn of the Dead. Now, do I think there's humor in it? Yes, I think there's humor in it. When you see the one with Vin Rames, right, and Mekhi Phifer. So when the body is twitching, the kill shots, how people getting blown up, it ain't the most hilarious jokes, but I recognize the jokes. See, the problem is a lot of these jokes don't work, but that doesn't mean they weren't jokes to begin with. You see Jason boxing a black guy on the roof. He punches his head off his body and the body rolls. In 42nd Street, on 42nd Street, we laughing at that because we picking up on the humor. Some people are so scared that they can't laugh. And sometimes the laughter and the humor fuel the horror because it loosens you up, and then the horror hits you from back and be like, oh, snap. So to me, there is a beautiful relationship between humor and horror. What's another good one? I like Ma with Octavia Spencer, and that had humor in it. She was humoristic in her parody of a crazy mom. Don't let me drink alone. That was hilarious, but it's hilariously scary, because she's a scary person and what she was able to do, and it makes the scary scenes, when she's sewing dudes' lips, all that type of stuff more scary because you're not on edge all the time. It loosens you up, then it goes right back and catches you. So yeah, so I don't know. I think the scariest movie ever was, my enjoyment of it was very low, which was the Haunting of Emily Rose, or the Exorcism of Emily Rose, whatever the Emily Rose name movie is. That one is a very scary movie for me, because it definitely feels like it could happen. And other than that, I'm not saying the horror genre is a humor genre. Definitely there's scary things in there, but it's a lot of humor, and the humor goes with it because it makes the horror worth it. So I don't know, that's my take on humor and horror. Poltergeist, all of the nightmare, Freddy's being comedic, but all of the Friday the 13th, the first two, what's his name? The Halloween joints with Michael Myers, not the remakes, but the first two, those was all humorous. You understand? He's gonna get you. He's called the Boogeyman. That joint was hilarious. And I'm saying that because I'm, New York, and we got real killers to worry about. But you know, and I'm coming off the violent 70s with Ramrod from Vice Squad and other real, you know, rapists and killers and stuff. So maybe that's what it is to see somebody, you know, killing people in the woods, or a slow walking killer like Halloween. That's hilarious. Get away from him. You understand? And then people have to be caught doing something stupid for him to kill them. That to me is hilarious. So excuse me, but I don't think I'm alone in this. If you find these movies to be funny, or if you see that there's humor in these movies, let me know. Hit me up. And I ain't talking about, you know, overtly funny like the Chuckies, you know what I'm saying? But I even felt there was humor in Jaws, especially when my man is on the boat in the scary scene and Jaws is biting at him and pulling him in the water. That's still funny, and there's funniness to it. And maybe I'm laughing at the people getting scared. I don't care. I'm laughing. You understand what I'm saying? And it's funny. So whatever it is, sometimes comedy comes without trying. So it's all perspective. But anyway, that's it. Jeff Carroll Sci-Fi Express Lane. Like, subscribe, share, and comment. All right.